everybody, happy Sunday. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you to all my new subscribers and those who are tuning in for the first time and those who continue to tune in from week to week. I greatly appreciate it. Today is a sew along. It is for the Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H, the swim/gym bag. I will share with you mine and also go over a couple things with you. But if this is your first time joining over here on the channel, make sure that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and don't forget to thumbs up this video on the way out. For those who are new to the channel and new to my sew alongs, what I typically do is leave either in the pinned comments down below timestamps, but this time I will leave chapters along the bottom of the screen, and if you also click on the description box, you will see the timestamp, so you can skip around if you like to different parts of the sew along and follow along if you have the pattern already. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. This is the Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H, the swim and gym bag. It is a free pattern. You will notice as you go through the sew along, I think I mentioned, because I did film these on different days, that go ahead and purchase the pattern, but it's a free pattern, so don't worry about that. I think I edited that. That it is a free pattern over on Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H website, and so go ahead and download it and start preparing. There's not a ton of pattern pieces. I do go over the pattern pieces. I go over a couple little tips for cutting out, and I do show you the angle of the pieces because it can be a little confusing. There are a couple confusing bits in the instructions, but I did go over those within the sew along. There's also one pattern piece that was labeled incorrectly where it said that you needed to cut out, it's the top band piece. Again, you will see this in the sew along. You actually need to cut out 6 pieces instead of 3. Then there's also a section where in the pattern you can print a page that has all of the pattern pieces where you can cut them out and clip them onto the actual pattern pieces after you've cut them out. One of them is labeled incorrectly, and so I go over that as well. So like I said, there are a couple tricky bits in here, but no worries, I go over all of that in the sew along. So yes, very excited about that. And so I'm going to give you a quick review of the pattern, and then we will talk about the giveaway, because there is a giveaway and it's a good one. So let me first show you what mine looks like. Okay, so here is mine. Isn't it so super cute? So you do have the feature of the, and I actually have something in it, so it's weighing it down right now, but you do have this interior zipper pocket. Actually, let me take that out. It's a key. But you have that zipper pocket on the inside, which is optional. It's also optional to line it. I did line mine because what I'm using this for, I am using it for my swim items, my swimsuit and stuff like that after my aquafit class. And so I chose to fully line mine. You don't have to, but do know if you're gonna put things in it that get wet or whatever, because you are sewing through that exterior portion, it will lessen the effectiveness of it being waterproof, because obviously if you're poking holes through it with the sewing and everything. But so mine is completely lined on the inside. This beautiful fabric, let me kind of show it to you. This came from, the floral came from fabric.com. The mesh came from Annie's Soft and Stable, her mesh, which I love. I already had the plastic on the inside. I already had the cording, and this webbing I already had. What else do you need? Oh, and my lining fabric. And I'll link to everything that I can still find, because I've had all the notions and materials and fabric for like I've had them for quite some time, over about a couple years. And then the interior, as you can tell, on the inside. And right now I have my pool shoes in there, just so you can see what can fit in here. So the reason I made this, I'll tell you that story real quick, is because for those who have been following my weight loss journey, you know that I have started back with aquafit classes once the gym and everything had started opening back up. But then I've quickly found and remembered how much I needed to upgrade my previous shower bag that I had. And let me just show you. I wasn't going to show you. I was thinking about it, but I was like, let's keep it 100. Let me show you what I was doing. So I had this, and it is so grungy. It's actually going in the garbage after I finish filming this, because this thing is so grungy. I've had it for at least 15, 16 years. And so, but I use this outside the shower at the gym. So anytime I showered at the gym, every gym I belong to, including the one now, outside the shower there's a hook. So there isn't a hook on the inside where everything gets wet, but on the outside you can hang this up and put all your shower stuff in there, right? And so I've had this thing so long, it's just grungy. And so once I started doing aquafit and everything, even before, previously, I would put what I can in here. Then after I finished my aquafit class, I would, in the shower, take off my swimwear and put everything in a plastic bag, like Walmart bag. And then I had a separate bag that would keep my lotion, stuff like my lotion. This is an old Ulta bag. We keep my lotion and deodorant and stuff in there. And I was like, you know what? That's ridiculous. When you know you can just make you something. So the Patterns by Mrs. H swim and gym bag was absolutely perfect, because you can make it completely waterproof. And the feature that I added, the pocket, I think I mentioned was optional, but I mentioned all of that in the sew along. But the only thing I added was this, because as you can tell, this came with, so you can hang it up. So I did that for this as well, because it's just easy like that. And this fits, the finished size is 12 by 18 by 7 is the finished size of this. And you can tell it has this little drawstring. So it's all mesh at the top, and then all of the pockets, there's 3 on this side and 3 on this side. So this is the center front, and so that's how that looks. But it all fits into my gym bag, which is this. So this, you know, is a travel bag I got probably 15, 16 years ago, maybe the same time I got the other thing. And I got this from TJ Maxx. So for me, just sidebar, for me, I don't like carrying heavy things on my shoulders. I want to keep a good posture, as good as I can. And so even my work bag with laptops and stuff, I just don't like putting things across my shoulder. So even my work bag is a roller bag, and my gym bag is a roller bag. So anyway, I have that, and so I can easily fit this inside of there once I have everything in there after I've showered. And it just works perfectly, because I have these are my shoes that I wear in the pool. So I got these from Walmart, like $5 or something. But I wear this in the pool, so I do have pool shoes that I wear for my aquafit class. And so those can easily I can throw those in here very easily. And then I also have separate shower shoes. So when I get out the pool, I put on my shower shoes. Those fit in there, right? And then as I'm wringing out my swimsuit and all that, that goes in there. Everything fits beautifully. And the thing is, I can hang this outside my shower, like I said, and just toss things in there. But the beauty is, I also have these pockets. So like my shower gels and lotions and stuff, the pockets are deep enough where I can just slide everything in there, and it can be separated. And then because we have to have our own lock and key at the gym, that's what I would keep in this interior zipper pocket. Just pop that in there, and there I go. And it's so cute. It is just so cute. I absolutely love it. And then when I get home and I take everything out, I would just hang this in my in my washroom, where by the washer dryer on the rack, and just let it just drip dry. I don't have to wash it or anything like that. But I absolutely love it. And so there is now a sew along for it. I'm happy to do it. And I will say, make sure you pay attention to the different parts in the sew along, because there are, like I said, a couple parts that were a little tricky or confusing, or that you need to pay attention to. And so I did re-emphasize those areas. So make sure that you are paying attention to that. You might want to watch the sew along all the way through first, and then start back at the beginning. That's what I tend to do if I'm doing the sew along or I'm following somebody's video. I'll just watch the video first, and then go back through, make any notes, and then go back through and sew it along with them, because then it goes a lot faster for me too that way. So for those who are new to my sew alongs, like I said, I will have chapters down below. Click the description box and you will see links to all of that. But there is a fun giveaway for this. I want to thank Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H for this. They have gifted me a subscription to the Bag of the Month Club. And so for you all that follow, you already know that's a 3-month subscription. It goes August through October. So what's that? August, September? Yeah, 3 months. And you buy the subscription in advance. They usually send it, if you're on the email list, and they send it out and tell you, okay, it's opened up for the subscription, and you get the patterns, and so you see what the patterns are and know what's coming up before everybody else, and you have the patterns, and it's not expensive at all, and you get 3 patterns. So it's I think it's a good value for what you actually get. And so they have gifted me a subscription for one of my subscribers. And if you are following along, and if you follow Emmeline Bags, because there are different pattern designers that are featured in the subscription, you don't know what's coming out until, you know, you get early look, obviously, with the subscription. But if you follow along, you know that Emmeline Bags had dropped the Laney Jane, which is here, which is part of the subscription club. And so for whoever wins, you will get that pattern. And then of course the next couple months patterns that are coming out, you will get those as well. And okay, this is Future Me editing, and forgot to tell you how to enter the giveaway. So this is how you enter the giveaway. Very, very simple and easy. It is open internationally because these are patterns that you will be downloading into your account. So anyway, it is open internationally. It is, you don't necessarily have to be a subscriber, excuse me, to my channel. It would be nice if you are. And then the only thing you need to put in the comments down below is, let's make a handbag. That is it. That will let me know that you are interested in this giveaway. And all you have to type down below is, let's make a handbag. All right. So yeah, I am so excited. Emmeline Bags has a sew along for the Laney Jane on their YouTube channel. I will make sure to link to that below, but that is such a cute bag. I think it's very cute. I like the structure of it. Very chic design as well. So yeah, you can definitely sew along with that. And let me just go over my notes. Oh, for those who want to know some other sew along handbags, I have a couple others on my channel. So if you're not quite ready for the swim gym bag, I did do Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H, the Sling Hobo bag, which is also a free pattern. That's also here on my channel. I will link to the playlist of the sew alongs down below. And if you are interested in a tote bag, the Maggie 55 Urban Tote, I also did a complete sew along for that. I will link that down in the I'll just link the entire playlist, and then you can go through, because I also did a cosmetic bag, the Transcendence cosmetic bag as well. And so you would want to, if depending on what it is, so we have everything from very easy to maybe something a little bit more challenging, but it's when you have a sew along, it just, to me, makes things, because I'm a visual learner, makes things in that whole process a whole lot easier. So if you're interested in any of those, I will link the entire playlist down below. Check out those sew alongs and go ahead and grab those patterns. But for the giveaway, the Bag of the Month Club, we are doing this giveaway. So you are seeing this today, which is Sunday. Okay, I had to run and get my my calendar. So the day you're seeing this is Sunday, August 15th. So the giveaway will be open from today, August 15th, and it will close on, I will close it let's see here, I will close it Monday, August 23rd, and I will announce the winner on Wednesday, August 25th. Yes, that's what I will do. So the giveaway will be open from August 15th until August 23rd, and then I will announce the winner on August 25th, Wednesday, August 25th. So come back to that video, which is a collaboration video reveal. And yes, you will know who won at that time. So yeah, that is it, everybody. That is all I have. Make sure you stay tuned for Wednesday's video. I have a special announcement to make on Wednesday, and yeah, share a few things with you. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Hopefully next Sunday, as I am preparing the rest of this week, that I will have another sew along for you on next week Sunday. So yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, that is it, everybody. If you have any questions or anything like that, make sure you leave them down in the comment section below. But again, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here so you can start the sew along. Go grab your pattern and watch the sew along. I highly recommend watching it through, perhaps first all the way through. Go through the timestamps and everything, and then get started, and make sure you tag me once you have completed. And thank you again to Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H for gifting one of my subscribers one of the Bag of the Month Club subscriptions. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in today, and we will see you on Wednesday. Bye. All right, everybody, let's get started. So I have everything prepared here on my cutting table, so I will show you where we get started. First things first, obviously make sure you go get the pattern, the swim bag and gym bag by Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H, and go ahead and purchase that, and then download it, and let's just start going. So I have printed out all my pattern pieces, so make sure you print out all of your pattern pieces. There are a total of 8 pattern pieces, so make sure that you have everything printed out. Couple key things, could be a little confusing, but you do need to tape certain pattern pieces together. And so in the pattern, it does talk about those pattern pieces that need to be taped together and which pattern pieces need to be cut out multiple times. So for example, if you are doing lining for your bag, which I am, so you'll see that in the sew along, you will need to print pattern piece A and G. You will notice both pattern pieces A and G are the same pieces. However, the cutting line for pattern piece A is at the red line on that pattern piece, and for the lining is at the top black line. So you do have to pay attention to that. You might get a little confused by the pattern piece, the way it is cut out. So this is my, and I'll show you my fabric here in a moment. So this is my exterior, and this is my interior for my my lining piece. So make sure you keep that in mind, because you do have to tape 3 different pieces together for A and G, and it might look weird, but you do exactly what the instructions say. Another pattern piece, which I think may have been a mistake in the pattern, is pattern piece B. You will notice on pattern piece B that it says it needs to be, it's the top band, and it needs to be 45 inches and 3/4 inch wide, 9 inches and 3/4 inch high. Well, it only needs to be what it says on the pattern, 3 inches high and 45 3/4 inches wide. And so it tells you to cut pattern piece B 3 times. You need to cut it 6 times in order to get it to be 45 3/4 inches, but it will be the 3 inches high. So I did kind of double check in the directions, so that is an error in the pattern. So it's not 9 3/4 inches high. And then also for pattern piece E, you will need to again tape the left, the right, and the bottom together. These are the outer pockets, and you will need to and it'll form again another L shape. So might be a little confusing, but that is how you tape it together. It will come out just fine. The outer mesh pocket again is 6 you'll have to print that out 6 times and tape that together to get the full piece as well, which I have here. And then optionally is the zipper pocket, which I am doing the zip pocket. I will be doing that, and it's just, you have to tape the top and bottom together to create that one pattern piece. So that is the pieces that you have to tape together. All the other pieces are just real simple, self-explanatory pieces, and you will be fine. So far as the fabric that you will be using, you can choose the pattern calls for faux leather or Cordura, or waterproof canvas. Cordura, waterproof canvas, pretty much the same thing. And so what I am using, because this is my new bag that I'm taking to the gym to put my swim items in and all of that, my shower items and all of that in, I want the whole thing to be waterproof. So I am using what would be known as the Cordura or the denier from, I have purchased mine, a combination. I'll leave links to everything in the description box. But so for me, the outer pieces and my inner pieces are all waterproof. Again, because I'm using it for the gym. So obviously the bag will not be submerged in water, but stuff will be thrown in that would have gotten wet. So for my outer pieces, let me just share with you what I am using. And I am using everything that is in my stash. So it's gonna be, it should be a fun hodgepodge look by the time it's done. So I have this beautiful waterproof canvas from fabric.com. If fabric.com still has it, I will link to it, but they have a lot of solid colors, and they do have some other print design. So that is where I purchased that from. The inner, or my lining piece, is the same waterproof canvas. This came from Fabric Wholesale Direct. I believe that's what it is. Wholesale Direct. Yeah, Fabric Wholesale Direct. And so again, all of this I already had in my stash because I used this for other projects, handbags, wallets type stuff. So I already have that. So you will need that for your outer, your inner pieces. I'm deciding to do my strap tunnel in some different colors. My zip pocket will be in a different color. So I'm just basically using the pink and the solid pink, and then the pink print. And then last but not least, and then we'll get to the notions, you will need some mesh. So it is required, it is suggested to use by Annie's mesh. If you have some other brand mesh to use, or that you have in your stash, just use that, no worries. I have a lot of the by Annie's. I do love her mesh. It's a lightweight mesh fabric, and let me just hold it up. This is what it looks like, and it comes in a gang of colors, and I had quite a few colors, but I only had so much of pink and this turquoise. So because you need 2 pieces of the mesh cut out of your fabric piece. I just cut one out in pink and one I cut out in the turquoise, just for fun. I mean, it's gonna be a fun, kind of funky looking bag. And then your long mesh piece, I cut that out in navy blue, and that's the one you have to tape those so many pattern pieces together. So those are the pieces. There is a page in the instructions where you can label your pattern pieces. There are pattern piece labels in the pattern. You will notice that. I am not going to use that because I'm doing this now for so long. But say I wanted to prep a project, I highly suggest go ahead, cut out everything that you need. If this is not something that you're going to start on right away, go ahead and cut out all of the labels and then just clip them. So for me, I'm just using my Wonder Clip onto the pattern piece to hold all the pieces together. But if this wasn't something you were going to work on right away, cut this out. You know, you can do that, or you can do this. It all depends. Most people will only use this instead of the pattern piece because they prefer to measure and cut on their own. I personally don't enjoy measuring and cutting pattern pieces out. So I like when patterns do already have the pattern piece and there's very minimal or no me having to measure and cut something out. So I am just attaching the actual pattern piece to my materials. So let me grab the notions that you'll use, which is not a lot. Okay, so for your notions, you don't need a lot. So you do need, if you decide to do fold over elastic, you can use fold over elastic. You also have the option of using 1/4 inch stretch elastic. And so that's what I have a whole bag of elastic. So I am going to use the white or the black. I'm not sure which one I'll use. But I have a 1/4 inch elastic, and you need 1.5 yards of that, or 1.5 yards of your fold over elastic. I have some fold over elastic, but it's only in black, so I didn't want to use that. So I decided I'll just stick with this for this particular bag. And then you need 8 eyelets. Now the pattern calls for either 5/8 inch size or 3/4 inch size, so you can run the cording through. So for me, I have, let me just show you this. I have this kit, is by Dritz. It's a 2-part eyelet kit. It's just the whole kit. This is actually a 1/4 inch. This is what I had in my stash, and this is what I'm using. And so this is what the kit comes with. It comes with the little eyelet setter, and then you have, oops, the instructions on the back and how to use it. And yeah, so I will just be using what I have in my stash, and I will show you that the cording that I have does go through the eyelet. This is also something from my stash. Not sure if I'm going to use the black or the red. I'm not sure how much I have of the red. If I have enough, I'll use the red. I might have some white as well. We shall see, but it doesn't matter. I don't care that, you know, it's not matchy or anything like that. But I think I have more of the black than I do of the red. So we shall see. So, but this here is cording. I forget how wide this is. I will link to it in the description box. I got this off of Etsy, and I really like this Etsy shop because it comes like this, continuous on a cardboard like this. So typically I use this for drawstring and shorts and stuff like that. But at any rate, I did make sure that this cording fit through my 1/4 inch eyelets, and it does, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, so that is it. That's all we need. Everything has been cut out. We will go ahead and head over to the sewing machine, and we're going to get started. I will have chapters in this video, so you can scroll across the bottom of the screen here and skip to the section that you need. So everything will be in chapters by that particular section in the pattern. So, okay, I did want to pop back in before we get to sewing, in that the pattern does say that it is made for seamless self-bound seams on the inside for waterproofing properties. I am not going to do that because I think I should be fine. I mean, I don't think every part of what I'm using, the lining and the outer, are waterproof. So I'm not going to worry about self-bounding seams. But if you do decide to self-bind your seams, just know it will be thicker, and it may be a little tough going through your sewing machine depending on the machine you have. So if you have an industrial, you won't have any problems. I am using a domestic machine, the Genome HD 3000. So I'm just going to use my jean needle. It calls for a 14-inch size needle, but I'm going to use my jean needle, and I'm not going to self-bind any of the seams on the inside. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, let's head over to the sewing machine. Okay, I am at my machine. I think I mentioned I would use a jean needle. I'm actually just going to use a universal needle, size 14, which the pattern recommends, and I know that that's fine. So it's a universal needle, size 90-14. And so the thread, just so you all know the type of thread that I use, when I make handbags, wallets, I typically use in my top thread the Mara 100. So that is what I'm using. I'm using a different color, but just wanted to show you it. And I typically, and I highly recommend that, and this is like I said, the Gutermann. So I do highly recommend getting it from Wawak, only because it is for a less price, and you get more yardage of thread on the spool, as opposed to if you had to go to your local craft store like Joann's or something, and they have tons of colors. And my bobbin thread will just be a regular polyester thread, also Gutermann. My machines, all of my machines love Gutermann. And then the other thing I recommend that you have next to you is some marking tools, because there are a couple steps that we will need to mark things. And so just have your marking tools. I just have this Soline air erasing pen, and I also have this Tandy leather pen, and I have a regular pen. We shall see which one shows up better when I need to get to that area. And then also have a grit ruler next to you, because there is a section where you will need to measure out certain pieces as well, or certain areas, I should say, certain areas on the pattern. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start out by sewing the mesh pockets. And so there are two different methods that you can use to sew these pockets, and it, again, as the pattern says, it depends on your skill level. So go ahead and grab your mesh pocket piece, which is E. And remember, my mesh pocket pieces are two different pieces. And what we're going to do, I'm just going to follow the method, the method that's in the first method that's talked about in the pattern. So I am folding over. So go ahead and grab your pocket piece. What you're going to do is fold over the tops by a 1/2 inch, and then use Wonder clips all the way across, and then we will sew at 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so I have folded over, just so you can see here, I have folded over the top edge, and I did use my Wonder clips to go ahead and hold that in place. Because this is mesh, it can get a little tricky feeding it under your presser foot, so you can use a stiletto or a pair of scissors or something like that just to get it started. And you actually want to, instead of 3/8 of an inch, I'm just gonna sew maybe 1/4 of an inch from that folded edge. And what I am going to use, if you have this available, you can use tissue paper, maybe even paper will work, but this is embroidery stabilizer for embroidering projects. So I'm just going to put that underneath just to get me started, because again, and then I'll put it at the end, because, you know, again, this is all mesh, so lots of holes and things can get a little tricky. I also reduced my stitch length down to 1.5, again, because the holes on this mesh is kind of wide, and I just want to make sure everything is captured. And it is a straight stitch that you are using. And I am back stitching at the start and at the beginning. Okay, now that you have your 21-inch elastic piece, go ahead for both of the pocket pieces you just stitched down. Go ahead and, obviously with the pen, go ahead and start feeding through your elastic all the way through that top tunnel that you just created. Okay, so when you get so far into feeding your elastic through that little tunnel, once it gets to a certain part and you have the edge of your elastic, let me just show you here, the edge of your elastic is lining up with the edge of that mesh, go ahead and stitch that down. Just so, go back and forth a couple times. You can use a 1/4 inch. I'll use about 3/8 inch actually, and I'm still using that 1.5 inch stitch length. So you just want to secure that because you don't want the elastic to pop all the way back through, and then you have to start all over trying to feed it through. So go ahead and stitch that one end down and finish taking it through. And you might notice, depending on the width of the mesh, the holes, you will have to be careful as you're feeding the pin through. A couple times as I was feeding it, the pin was going through the hole, so you just gotta be careful. But go ahead, finish this end off, and then you're going to stitch the opposite end the same way you did the other end down here, and do that for your second pocket piece as well. Run your elastic through and stitch down both ends, and then grab your pocket piece A, or your pattern piece I should say, pattern piece A, which is the outer base for the bag. Okay, so you have your piece A, which is your outer bag piece, and so this is right side up. As you can tell, this is the wrong side, so this is right side up. What you're going to do is take your mesh piece, as you can see that I've done here, and you're going to clip it to the front of the bag. So it's just put the mesh right on top of the right side of the bag piece, and then clip all the way around. As you can tell here, this is clipped all the way around. And then what you're going to do is stitch the edges together at 1/8 inch seam allowance, even at the corners. Stitch all the way around. Now, the thing you want to make sure that you are careful of is that this piece is 1.5 inches from the top on both sides for both pattern pieces, because you will be joining these pieces together later on in a couple steps here, and you want to make sure that these pieces line up. If it doesn't line up, it will be quite obvious as you are putting the bag together. But just wanted you to go ahead and get that started. So go ahead, grab your mesh piece that you have, grab your exterior bag piece, clip it, and then sew it 1/8 inch seam allowance all the way around. And I am using 1/8 inch seam allowance all the way around with that still 1.5 inch stitch length. So as you can tell, your mesh is now sewn to that outer base piece all the way around at 1/8 inch seam allowance. Do that for both of your pieces. Okay, for this next step, we're at, just in case you're following along in the instructions, we are at the first part, sewing the mesh pockets, and we are towards the end, step 4. So in the instructions it says to draw a line 1 inch above the, it's a little confusing, but I get where they're going, to draw a line 1 inch above the corner piece, as you can see here, and hopefully you can see my line. My line is right there, so hopefully you can see my line. is going all the way across, and it says to put some tape there and then stitch along the edge of the tape, and it creates the bottom of the pockets, which are on the other side. I am not going to put masking tape on just because I don't want it to gum up my needle or anything like that. So I just drew a line all the way across on the wrong side, and what I'm going to do is just stitch a line, stitch through that line all the way across on the wrong side of the fabric, instead of using the tape and all of that. So hopefully that makes sense, and I am going to stitch all the way across, and I will show you what that looks like on the piece once it's completed. Okay, so you can see the line that I drew on the back. I just stitched. So this is stitched all the way across, because what you're doing is once you flip it over, it's creating the bottom of that pocket, the mesh. So you may find, I don't know if you can tell here, there was just a little bunching. I'm not worried about that. If you feel some kind of way about this, just that little bit, you can unpick it and kind of redistribute the mesh, because remember, it does kind of have that elastic, so it may shift while you're stitching that line in the back, but I'm not feeling any particular way about that, so I'm just going to leave it. But then what you want to do is that's why you want your grid ruler. You want to use your grid ruler. Now let me just zoom out just a little bit. You want to measure from this end to here 6 3/4 inches, because you're going to stitch lines which will now create divider pockets, and you want to also measure 6 3/4 from this end. And what I used, if you can tell, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. Again, it suggests using some masking tape. I am not using masking tape. I don't want to have this leave any residue on my mesh, so I use washi tape. So if you are a crafter or something like that, and you have your planner washi tape, use washi tape, because you're not stitching through this edge right here is 6 3/4 inch. So I'm just going to stitch right along this edge right here. I'm not going to stitch through this tape at all, and I'm going to do that on both pockets. So I've done both sides of the pocket, and I'm just going to stitch right along the edge there, peel that tape off, and do that to my second piece, and I will show you what that looks like once it's done. Okay, so I have stitched. Remember, you want to start and stop, back stitch at the top and at the bottom, because this will get a lot of pull because of the elastic. So go ahead and take off your washi tape. Like I said, you're not sewing through the tape, so you're not causing the tape to stick to permanently here. And so again, you want to do this for both pocket pieces, and that's how that will look once that is done. Okay, so now you have both of your pieces, your pockets are sewn as I showed you. What you now want to do is join these pieces together. So both of your outer bag pieces. Now let me just take these clips off. This is where it becomes important about the top of the pockets. Remember, we had make sure the pockets were 1.5 inch down from the top. You want to make sure, especially for this edge. So here for this edge, just to get a close-up, you want to make sure these ends meet. Those top of the mesh pockets meet. That's why that was important. So just want to make sure you see that. And then what you can go ahead and do, which I've already started here, is clip. And you will notice this is page 6. So I'm not doing, remember, I'm not doing the bound seams. So I am doing, starting off here at sewing the outer bag base. And so what you do for that without doing the bound seams, you're just going to stitch each side. Stitch each side 1 inch, clip everything together, stitch both sides of the outer bag. You see I have both clipped here. and also clip your bottom. And you're going to sew these areas at 1 inch seam allowance. 1 inch across the bottom and 1 inch on both sides here. You are not sewing these corners. Do not touch the corners just yet. So what I've done is just line up some tape here just so I know where my 1 inch is. On my machine you can do that unless your plate already has it marked, but go ahead and stitch starting at the top and go all the way down 1 inch, and don't forget to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so now that that is done, you've stitched on both sides down 1 inch and at the bottom 1 inch. We will now move on to the next step. Okay, hopefully you can see me okay. I actually, when I went back through all of the notes, that strap tunnel piece, disregard it. I am actually not using, I'm not adding a strap. I didn't initially pay attention to that. So this is me popping in saying disregard the strap tunnel part C. You don't need it. So go ahead with your piece, your front and your back are together, remember. You are going to go ahead and bring your corners together. Now you're boxing out the bottom, and so all you're doing is bringing those together. Make sure your seams here are meeting. You can go ahead and open that up. Like so, and go ahead and clip that in place. Same thing on the other side. You want to bring those corners together. So it was flat. Now you want to fold it together. Clip that in place. Make sure your seams are meeting up. So now you have two box corners. So if you were to hold it up, this is how it would look on the bottom. So you have two box corners. What you're going to do is go ahead and sew these edges together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance both sides, and then you're going to repeat these steps for the lining. So what we did was, you are going to clip right sides together, your lining. And this is again why I was not worried about doing the bound seams, because I am doing a lining, and so I know that will help. So again, you're going to clip all the way around. So once you clip everything together like such on the bottom as well as on the sides, go ahead and stitch 1 inch down the side seam, 1 inch down the side seam, 1 inch on the bottom. Then go ahead again and fold your corners together and stitch across at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that will be completing putting the bottom and the lining together. So go ahead and do that, and we'll show you what it looks like once it's done. Okay, so here you have it. You have sewn the corners. You've boxed out your corners and sewn those edges up. So you should just have a piece that looks like this. And so this is the lower half of our bag. And then, providing you did the lining as well, here's your lining piece. Also boxed out at the bottom. And that is the inside. So what we're going to do is put these pieces apart to the side for now, and go ahead and grab your zipped pocket. I am opting to do a zip pocket, so go ahead and grab your zip pocket and your zipper. Okay, so now you have your pocket piece H. This is right side facing up, and then your zipper is right side facing down. You need 7 inches. If your zipper is a little longer, do not worry about it. It will be cut off. So go ahead, and you are attaching the zipper to the short end of that zipper pocket. So go ahead, right side up. Remember, the wrong side of my fabric looks like this. So this is right side facing up, zipper right side facing down, clip along the edge, and then stitch at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so this is what it looks like once it is sewn across, as you can tell. So the instructions would have you add some basting tape and then fold this over and top stitch all the way across a line of stitching. I will not add basting tape. I don't find that I need it, but if you do, go ahead. So all I'm doing is, if I turn this to the side, so here's how we sewed the zipper on, right? So you have that seam here. Go ahead and turn this so it's now catching that seam, and you're gonna stitch, top stitch all the way across, and I will show you what that looks like once it is done. So this is what it looks like. You have top stitched all the way across the top there, as you can see, and then we will now move on to finishing the pocket. Now, one thing I will add, make sure you've switched out your foot to a zipper foot, and when you top stitch, use about 3.5, 4, depending on what your machine allows for to do the top stitching across the top. Now what we're going to do is just repeat everything we did on this end. Turn your piece over so the other end doesn't have the zipper. Again, the zipper is right side facing up. And all you're going to do, make sure that the edges are meeting, and you have the top part at the top, the other edge of the zipper. And you're going to do the exact same thing, which is clip all the way across. And if you find you need to unzip the zipper as you get towards the end, that is fine. You can always just unzip it a little bit. But you are making sure that your edges are matching up. So go ahead and sew at a 1/4 inch. So go ahead and clip all your threads. What you will have is a tube. I've opened mine up a little bit, but let me turn this for you so you know what it looks like. So you will have a tube, and go ahead and clip off your excess zipper tape. So that is how that will look. I'm going to clip off my excess zipper tape, and then I'm also going to, don't forget to top stitch the other side as well. Okay, now that we have our tube completed, we've top stitched on the top, as you can tell here. Make sure your zipper is open. It should have been, because you needed to open it to top stitch the other side. What you're going to do now is turn it right sides together, like so. Again, making sure this is completely open. And then you want to leave a 2.5 inch clearance at the top. So get your measuring tool, make sure this is 2.5 inches, like so. And you can close this just a little bit, but don't close it all the way up. Just want to make sure it's stable. So as I said, make sure that your this is pulled down. Make sure there's clearance here, 2.5 inches, and what you're going to do is clip the sides, and then you're going to go ahead and stitch right down each side. And again, you have to make sure that this pocket is open, because you want to be able to turn that and you will go ahead and stitch 3/8 inch seam allowance and then turn the pocket right side out, and we will be done with this piece for now. I will show you what it looks like once it is all done. Okay, now that you have sewn the edges, go ahead and clip your corners. Again, your pocket should be open, and go ahead and just turn it right side out. All right, it is turned completely out. Go ahead and set this to the side for now, and we're going to start constructing the top of the bag. Okay, now grab your pattern piece, the outer top. Now we're at the stage where we're constructing the top of the bag. We are almost there, almost there. So, okay, go ahead and take that piece. So you have the two short ends. Go ahead and clip the two short ends together. And again, I'm going just to make sure all these seams are caught, I am going to reduce my stitch length to 1.5. And then, so the short ends are clipped together. Go ahead and stitch now 3/8 of an inch all the way across. And then what you're going to do is fold that seam to one side. You have a couple different ways to finish this. You can either open the seam up flat or finger press the seam to one side and stitch it down. What you're doing is securing that seam so it doesn't come open. Okay, now that you've stitched the short end together like this, what I am going to do is, so you have that seam there, I'm just going to fold it to one side. All you're doing is folding it to one side and stitching it down. That's all. It's almost like if you're sewing garments, this would be considered perhaps a cheater's method of doing the flat felt seam. So you're just securing that stitch, that seam a little more, going all the way down. So that is it. That seam is sewn together and is sewn flat against itself. So now that you have this sewn together, you have a nice big tube now. So go ahead and grab your zipper pocket and find the center of the pocket. You want to make sure this is centered. So I am just going to add a clip here so I can see my center is about right there. And so what you want to do is that center seam at the top, go ahead and place the center of the pocket at the top there. Do not stretch your mesh as you're doing this. You don't want to stretch the mesh. Just make sure that you are clipping carefully without stretching the mesh at all. And what I'm doing is, because it will be easier to stitch this with the pocket side on the plate on the bottom as opposed to the mesh. So I will flip this over, is what you will notice. You want to go ahead and stitch all the way across, and you can use a basting stitch. So you just want to base stitch that all the way across, and then we will attach the top band. So as you can tell, it is stitched on to the mesh. It's basted across the top. And so now what you want to do is go ahead and grab pattern piece B, which is your matching, it's the top band piece. So you want to go ahead and grab your top band piece. Okay, grab your top band piece, which is piece B. And recall in the earlier part of the video I said that you needed to cut 6 pieces of this, the pattern piece, and tape it together, not 3, because it needs to be the 46 3/4 inch wide. Now you see why. So go ahead with your top band piece, go ahead and fold it in half long ways. So you're folding it in half, the length with the wrong sides together. So let me just get this for you. So you're going to fold it in half like this, wrong sides together. You can finger press. You can do a light press on this type of fabric. I will just kind of finger press it, but go ahead and clip all the way across. Okay, I wanted to come in with a slightly different angle so you can see this. So you have sewn the mesh, that top part, right, in the circular tube. You flat sew down that seam. It's just to add a little extra sturdiness there. And then you based it on your pocket. So it is now looking like this, right? So once you had your this top band piece, I just clipped mine down all the way around. That's what I did. And so what it is that you want to do is, and again, remember, you can try ironing that if you want. But what you want to do first, the first thing you want to do is mark all of the quarter points. So you have the center here, you'll mark, and I'm just going to use a piece of chalk for ease. So just make sure you have the center, and like I said, I'm just using chalk. And then if we were to clip this on the end, we know that's our other center point. Go ahead and mark the other center points. And then you want to do the same thing with the mesh. So you had the center point here where your seam is. Just make sure that it is laying flat. Again, I'm just marking with some chalk on mine. Use whatever's best for you. You can put a clip there if you like. So grab your clips after everything is marked, and there's a reason you're not sewing this just yet. So now that you have all of your areas marked, go ahead and mark starting at, you're going to clip. So here's the top of the mesh, and you can see my marking there. And here is the marking you can see for the top band. You're sandwiching the mesh in between the band. So let me zoom in so you can see. So here's the band. Here's my marking. You can see that. Here's my marking. What I am going to do is, you're just sandwiching right in the middle on that spot, your top band over the mesh. That is it. That is all that you're doing. And you want to clip all the way around. And the purpose for marking the points was just to make sure that everything kind of lined up. But you are going to clip all the way around. And once we get to the other end, I'll show you what it looks like once because you will overlap these end pieces. It's just a little, it was a little fiddly, right, to get it going, but like I said, you are sandwiching the mesh right in the middle, and if you can see, there's no overhang. Everything meets right at the raw edges, and I clipped all the way around, so that overhang, that overlap, you will see that here. There will be an overlap here. Now, couple options. If you cut this a little longer, although if you're using the type of fabric that I'm using, you don't have to worry, because this is not going to fray. But depending on, say you decide to do this out of cloth, for this top band piece, you would definitely want to cut it probably 2 inches longer, 2 to 3 inches longer, so you can fold it in, so you don't have raw edges, and the folded ends can then overlap. But I don't have to worry about that with this type of fabric. So what we're going to do now is take it over to the machine and sew at the bottom. You're going to sew all the way around at the bottom. You're pretty much doing it, you're doing a top stitch again. So again, whatever your machine allows for your longest stitch, 3.5, 4, whatever the case may be, whatever you're comfortable with. What you're going to do is top stitch all the way around at the bottom, and then top stitch all the way around at the top. So do the bottom first, so you can go ahead and catch that in, so you don't have to worry about your mesh shifting on you. Although obviously if you clipped it up pretty good, it shouldn't shift. But go ahead and do that. And then we will be moving on to finishing the construction. Okay, so this is what it looks like once it is attached. So let me give you a little bit closer look of that overlap. So as you see, you just overlap the 2 open ends, that's all. And you are stitching, doing a top stitch all the way around the top and the bottom. I did have just a slight bit of puckering there, but again, not something I'm worried about. And so yeah, that is how that will look once that is attached. So let's move on to constructing the rest of the bag. We're almost done. Okay, go grab your outer piece, the bottom part of your outer piece, and the piece that you just sewn together. Now what we're going to do is turn this one right side out. So now that you have this turned right side out, go ahead and match the piece you just sewn right side out and clip them together. So what you're in, this is, the pocket needs to go on the inside. So this is this is considered the wrong side, because you have the pocket that obviously you want to go on the inside. So go ahead and take it over the top just like that, easy breezy. Match up your seam. So for me, it really is all personal preference, right? So I am just going, that seam on the mesh, I'm matching it up to one side of, let's see here, I might do the side that wasn't so greatly matched. It doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go ahead and just match that up here. But if you have a preference, you can go ahead and match up, the prettier side of your, where your, this lining met up. But for me, it really doesn't matter. So I am going to go ahead and clip this together all the way around the circumference. And you may find that your mesh have stretched a little bit. No big deal, just gather it in so as needed, so it can fit all the way around, because mine did stretch just a little bit, but that's what happens when you work with mesh. So go ahead and clip all the way around. Okay, so as you can tell, I am clipped all the way around. Now, say you did have a little bit of excess for your mesh, you found that it pulled a little bit. All I did was just gather it in up here on the side seam on both sides, just so it can fit in the circumference. So that's how it looks. Now you are clipped all the way in. What you want to do now, after you've clipped everything together, baste this in place. And so again, you're basting stitch length 4 or 5 or whatever your machine goes up to. Go ahead and baste this all the way around. Then I want you to grab the lining piece. Now, if you did the lining, if you did not do the lining, you can continue to follow on in the instructions, but I've done the lining. So go ahead, grab your lining, and what you're going to do is sew a 1/2 inch from the top of the lining around the entire circumference. So a 1/2 inch just at the a 1/2 inch from the edge, sew a 1/2 inch all the way around the circumference, and then I will show you what we will do next. Okay, so I am back. You see I have stitched all the way around, basted these 2 pieces together, and we also have this side, you can see a little bit better, 1/2 inch stitch line all the way around the lining. So what you're going to do now is make sure your bag is turned right side out. You want to make sure the lining is wrong side out, because what you are going to do is insert your lining. So as you can tell, this is the wrong side of the outer bag base. Insert the lining bag into the outer base, wrong sides together. So go ahead, put that in there, wrong sides together. And obviously you can get that in there, and you're matching up these. Make sure your side seams and everything is matching. Get it in there nicely. So what you are going to do, this here outer edge, fold this raw edge over fold the raw edge over the outer and mesh along the stitch line. So remember that stitch line you just did, you are folding that over. So right just like that. See that? Let me do it again. So remember, you have that stitch line, you have the raw edge. Use the stitch line as your guide. Go ahead, line it up, fold it right over so it looks like that. Then once you go ahead and clip all the way around, because what you're going to do next is stitch at 3/8 inch seam allowance from this edge all the way around. So let's go ahead and clip first. Okay, so we are clipped. Yes, you need a ton of clips. So go ahead, if you have a free arm that you can remove to make it easier to get through, I'm just going to sew as usual, as you've been seeing along the sew along. But for those who do have a little bit more clearance, or if you have an industrial or something like that, you just adjust accordingly. But you are going to sew again 3/8 of an inch all the way around, 3/8 inch from that bottom edge. All right, look at that. We've sewn it. Let me just show you. Sewn it all the way around. Now, when you stand it upright, this is how she is looking. Yay! So this is going very well. Now, here's the next part. We will be, and you see our little pocket on the inside, so cute. This is just This bag is so cute, so cute. And so this is actually the front. Yeah, this is the front of the bag. All right, so here she is, all sewn together. You stitched all the way around. So from the outside, it looks like a very nice clean finish, as you can tell. And so, and this is why I lined mine, just to make sure, even though all of the fabrics that I'm using is waterproof. But anyway, we have our pocket back here. So now it is time. We want to go ahead and add the straps. So the once we add in the eyelets, we will then have the strap and then the drawstring. That will be it. So let's quickly go ahead and sew up the strap, which is very simple. So go ahead, grab your strap slider piece. I used, remember, use the size based on the thickness of the rope that you have. And all you're doing is folding. You have this is the wrong side, this is my right side. All you're doing is folding it to the center. You can use basting tape to make sure it stays together. I'm just going to ever so slightly overlap it, just by maybe 1/4 of an inch. And what you want to do is do a zigzag stitch from one end to the other. And I would shorten the stitch length to maybe 1.5. Your zigzag maybe around 1. That should be good enough. 1.5. Stitch length maybe 1.5, and go ahead and stitch that together. Okay, there you go. This is what it looks like when it's all done. So you have 2 areas where the drawstring will go through. So let's head back over to our table and I will show you how I will do the eyelets. Okay, so what I have done is mark this so you can at least see where the holes go. So what you're going to do is take your eyelet, whatever size you decided to use, and what you're going to do is start by marking from the hole at, again, this is going in that top band. Mark a hole on the top band 1.5 inch from the center back. So this is the back of my bag. This is the back of my bag. So go over, and I did it actually on this side. I don't know if you can tell. So 1.5 inch from the center back on each side, mark a hole. And then mark a hole 6.5 inches from each hole at the center front. So here's the front of the bag. And then you go out 6.5. Hopefully you can see it. I try to color it in as dark as I can so you can see where the hole is marked. And in total, you should have, I believe it should be six holes, I believe, once you're done. Let's see, I marked these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I do believe 6 holes marked all the way around. And then what you want to do now, is going to depend on your fabric and the difficulty. What you want to do now is cut out that hole. You can use a couple things. You can use a seam ripper, and let me show you the kind that I'm speaking of. So if you have a ripper like this, obviously this is very sharp, so you want to be very, very careful. You can do it over a cutting mat. You can use this to cut the hole right in here. And then what you can do is, and I'm gonna lay this flat. So if you wanted to use something like this, all you have to do is just very gently, and this is on a cutting mat, you can go ahead and very gently just poke the hole in there like that. Then if you have an awl, just use your awl to go ahead and finish poking out the hole. That's what you can do. Or if you have a hole punch, which I do, I know most people might not have a hole punch, a table press machine. I'll link to my video here if you want to see the difference between the gold press and the cam snaps. I'll put a link right here to that. But I'm just going to show today, you can, if you have something like this, just punch the hole in the center. And if you have an awl, or worst case scenario, if you have a pin, just push it through there just to get the hole opened up all the way. And you do that all the way around. Okay, so this part might be a little tricky to explain. One of the things I did do in full disclosure was go back and use my hole punch to my press. If you have a handheld punch, a table press, even your scissors, because I found that little the rip and then putting the awl in there didn't quite work when I got over to the part where the zipper is, the pocket is. And so I just went ahead and just completed the hole using my table press. But again, if you have scissors, a hand press, use that if you found it was a little difficult to get the holes in there. So as you can tell, my eyelet is in here. And this is the last hole. So follow the instructions on your eyelet kit. For me, it just says to mark my hole, the long end, the deep end of the eyelet, I put in first. And I put it in from the right side to the wrong side, as you see here. And then, because my kit came with the part that you will need to hammer, this is the base. So according to the instructions, I'm to put the base on the bottom, the eyelet on top. Hopefully, yeah. So we have the base is on the bottom, and again, yours might look a little different. And put the eyelet on top. And the eyelet is going to fit into, there's ridges on this base, and the ridge of the eyelet, it fits perfectly into that. And so for me, the steps go the base, make sure that your eyelet is in, have the base on the bottom, and then it says to put there's a plastic piece. I'm assuming all eyelet kits come with like this little plastic piece, and then there's the top piece, which is, you can barely see that, I know, it's flat, that will then go on top, and you hammer it all together. So it's kind of like a washer piece that then goes over that, how you see here. And I will actually take this from another angle so you can see it a little better. Okay, so what I've done is just change angles. So again, underneath is the base, and you can see that ridge in there. The washer fits right into that ridge. And then the little plastic piece, which I call, like I said, like a washer piece, is very thin, kind of hard to pick up. But anyway, you slide that over the hole where the eyelet was inserted from the other side, and then this flat piece, very flat, very hard to pick up, and I barely have nails, so this now goes on top like so. And then you use your if you have the kit, then you use this piece and you just put it down in the top and hammer it together. And there you go. Okay, so all of your eyelets are in, as you can tell. All of mine are in. All you're doing now is threading your cording. I actually had some other cording in my stash. It's purple, and so I'm going to use that because I think I like that better than, remember earlier I showed you I had the red and black, but I'm going to run the purple through. And I am going to start, because you need to have it come out in the front, because that's where you add your the piece that you had sewn here for the cording to go through. So what I am going to do, because your cording needs to be pretty much as long as there's a measurement in the 2.5 yards in the pattern, but maybe you don't want your cording that long. So I am just going to see, I'm actually going to run it all the way through. This is my center front, and you're taking it in and out. So as you can tell, I'm just threading it in and out. Nothing special. And then I'll see how far I want mine. Let's see here. So, see, I've had mine come all the way through. I think I actually missed a hole here. Okay, so what I have done is I've measured out about how long I want my cording to be. I am going to add 2 more holes here. I think I measured my distance wrong, because I have all of this gap where there's no hole and it wouldn't close up properly. So I am going to add 2 more holes here so I can close it up all the way. And I think this is about as much as that I will use for mine. And it is suggested that you add some tape on the end if yours tend to unravel. I will do that, but I'll also tie a knot at the end so it doesn't pull back through the slider. All right, and then what you're going to do is take your strap piece, this, and slide both of your cords through there. Now for me, I know this probably could be a little tighter because I did choose a thinner cord, but that's okay. Because that is what you will use to draw it up, like so. And I personally would not untie this all the time. I would just do a double knot like this. As long as I can get it open to slide my stuff in, I'm fine. But I did want to share with you, but if you did want to make sure that it tightens up here, you can do that and just tie it up here at the top. I don't find that necessary for me for how I plan to use this, but I do want to share with you something that I will be adding to this just as a little bonus. Okay, so here's the little bonus piece, which you would have seen at the beginning of this video, at the intro. I am just going to add some webbing across the top. And the reason I'm doing that, as I said earlier, is because I hang this when I'm at the gym in the shower. There's hooks on the outside of each shower area, and so I want to be able to just hang this on the hook, and you know, this will flop open and I can just throw everything in there as needed and have all of my things filled in on the side. But that's the only thing different that I'm doing pretty much for the bag, is adding the handle so I can hang it up in the shower, put it on the shower hook. So, and this doesn't hang in the shower. There's hooks on the exterior part of the shower, so you just reach out, and so that's where this will hang from. So that is it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I know there are some tricky bits. If you have any questions, definitely leave them down in the comment section down below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks everybody for tuning in today, and tag me on Instagram, Facebook. Come back to this video once you complete your bag. I would love to see how it turned out. All right, everybody, have a blessed week. Bye.